Welcome to the Wild Nova podcast. I'm your host, Janine O'Brien. Join me as we explore holistic health for your body, mind, and spirit through inspiring interviews with experts and seekers. It's all about a balanced and fulfilling life. So let's dive in. I am Janine O'Brien, and this is the Wild Nova podcast. I am so excited. This is episode 1, season 1. It is the start. It is the beginning of something amazing. I'm so excited to start this project. I've wanted to for a very, very long time. I have put off starting a podcast for years. I always kept beating myself up about who am I to start a podcast? Well, I don't know. I don't have the most knowledge about this, or I'm not the most, exciting, exuberant, passionate person. I second guessed myself, and I honestly was always afraid to sound stupid and to say things that I later regret, and have it recorded and out there in the world for everybody to judge me. And then I realized I still want to share this. I'm excited about it. And I will always say things that later on I go, whoopsies, didn't mean that one. But I'm okay with it being out there. And I'm okay with showing you guys that life is about learning and experiencing and sometimes not knowing everything. And that is completely okay. I know a lot about a lot of random things, but I'm not an expert in almost anything, and I don't claim to be. I'm like everybody else, learning and exploring, and I want to share what I have to offer as well as what the people around me that I've met or that I haven't met yet can share as well, and what they're passionate about, and tell their stories. Have a place to share with people and learn. And I have so many questions for so many people. Like, I have friends that are astrologers and numerologists and human design experts and hypnotherapists and do events and different healing modalities and all of these incredible things and all of these different practices, and it's just incredible. And I want to be able to share that with everybody because it has changed my life over the years for the better. Thank God. And I'm less afraid of saying the wrong thing because I feel like we're hopefully coming to a place in society where we understand that sometimes people can be wrong, and to expect anybody in any situation to be 100% correct all of the time is a little ridiculous. And I'm gonna share my opinions on things. Honestly, I could probably say 95% of the time it won't be political, just because I don't really have a passion with that. I don't feel that even if I have a platform to speak, I don't feel that without the knowledge basis behind it, without me studying something or learning kind of two sides of all of that, like, I don't feel it's right for me to have a voice without, and putting it so strongly out there without fully understanding both sides to everything, and I find there's so much right now that everybody's fighting about all the time, about every little thing, and I feel like everything else, there's always two sides to the story. Both people are hurting, and both people are scared. And how we deal with that as mankind is just hard. So I feel like if we get more of these healing techniques out there, the better of a person I am, where I can share, the better maybe somebody else will get. And yeah, I hope basically all I need out of this podcast is I need to be able to share and vocalize everything that has been so pent up in me for years, basically. I just have all of this knowledge, and I have all these exciting people in my life that I want to share and that I feel deserve a voice. And they're so passionate and amazing. And I can't wait for everybody to get to meet them. And also get to know me a little bit better. Sometimes I guess I come off with a little bit of a wall, a protection wall, but that's, I don't know, that's just a part of me and who I am. But I'm so excited to do this. I really am. I figured for episode 1, it would be great to kind of start off with who I am, why I'm doing this, what got me started on the podcast, and also just what got me started on this path. I am a Reiki master teacher. I am a crystal healing master, fully certified, I am an animal Reiki practitioner and intuitive healer, and I'm me. I'm the owner of Wild Nova. God, if you would have asked me that silly interview question 5 years ago of where I thought I would be in 5 years, I never, ever, ever would have pictured my life like this. Some for good and some for not so good. You know, it's been challenging. Especially this year was honestly one of the hardest years of my life. There's been a lot of learning and growing and learning to let go of things. It's been a year. So, what made me start or choose to start this podcast was pretty simple. I wanted to. For 3+ years, I have listened to podcasts over and over and over. Like every day, I listen to hours and hours of podcasts, and I love them. And I wanted to start one really badly. But I didn't. I kept feeling like, who am I? I'm not enough. I'm the whole imposter syndrome. Who the hell would ever want to listen to me? Self-conscious about my voice, self-conscious about how I look, self-conscious about what I say and how I say it. And I've slowly come to just be okay with me being me. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to the podcast. But if you do like it, then I hope you actually get something out of it. And it betters your life just a little bit. And I kept feeling like I was waiting for something. I kept feeling like I couldn't do it by myself. I couldn't do it on my own. Again, the imposter syndrome of what I have to say isn't important. But it is. And I kept feeling like maybe somebody would want to start a podcast with me or invite me onto theirs. Like, I have a few friends who have started some. And then I also was second guessing, of course, like you do. Mostly just, well, I see that they started a podcast. That's another podcast out there. So it's just like competition, and I didn't want to be in competition with my friends, but like we're different. We're different people, and we offer different things, and we know different people, and we just have different mannerisms and different views on life because we've had different experiences. So we could interview the same person and have totally different questions because they're coming at it from like a mothering side of things, and I'm coming at it from a me side of things. And I feel like that's how we learn. If we all had the same book, we would all take away something different. And I just want to be able to share more. So I held off for years. And I finally got invited onto somebody's podcast. I got a phone call from some random phone number from far away asking me to be on this podcast. I had never heard of it before. And I thought, oh my God, how did they hear about me? Why would they want me on their podcast? And I honestly thought it was a scam. More on that after. But I thought it was a scam. I thought they're going to invite me on their podcast. They're going to send me the email that they said they're going to send. I'm going to have to click a link for the questions and then get a computer virus. Or it's going to clean out my bank accounts. Or something. It's going to be click a link of something, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, my computer is crashing or something, or my identity's stolen. Who knows nowadays? And so I was really skeptical. I honestly thought it was fake. And it was just going to be a quick 5-minute interview about me. So I looked up the podcast, and it was a real podcast. And I had it scheduled. They sent me the questions ahead of time, and I didn't have to click anything. I just filled out the questions, sent it back to them with my information, and none of the information I gave was things that would allow somebody to take something from me. So I was like, oh my God. I started getting really excited. I poured over the questions over and over and over again for days. And I perfected my answers because I thought, hey, I got 10 minutes. I have 10 minutes to explain to the world who I am, what I do, why I do it, what got me started, everything about me, all wrapped up in 5 whole minutes. And this platform was huge. They had thousands of episodes. Like 2,000 episodes. Over 2,000 episodes. And they were asking me, of all people, to be on. And I was just so beyond excited. I was over the moon. So I wanted to share it with everybody. So, like I said, I poured over the questions. I answered everything. I had everything written out to make sure that I was using my answers the best way I could to try and get the best message out possible. Yeah. The interview started. The guy seemed really nice. I thought it was going really well. He was asking a question and he was asking them in order, so everything, it was like a script out thing. It was perfect. But then he asked a question that wasn't on the interview list. And I basically just got a little disheveled. So I was diagnosed with PTSD years ago. So sometimes when I have things laid out in a particular way and you have point A to Z and I know it's the alphabet and somebody takes out the middle of the alphabet and puts in a totally different language in the middle, my brain goes, oh crap, and panics. So I answered the question, which was, what does a session with you look like? And part of the reason I panicked about that was because, one, that question was not on the list. I did not plan for this. This was not perfectly lined up and exactly how I needed it to be. But two, because I can't always clearly explain what a session with me looks like. I do Reiki, I do crystal healing, I work on people, I work on animals. It can be in the office, it can be at your home, it can be in a field. It's all kind of different. It's your preliminary questions and then the working and all of this, but it's always going to be different. And that's what I think makes me me. And so I kind of answered, but obviously not how I would have wanted. And then he asked the big question, the one where I had the biggest answer to, of what got me started and why I do what I do. And it's such an important question to me. And instead of reading out everything I had on there, which was laid out so that I could have the most impact for the statement in that 5 minutes, so that I could get my point across and help the most amount of people, I jumped from here to there to there to there, filled in gaps from everywhere. I didn't read it properly. I added in random things and a lot of as, and ugh kind of thing. And it just didn't feel good to me at all. And I rushed it because I panicked. And I have a tendency to duck a little quickly when I'm panicked. So the interview ended. And I felt like crap. I felt horrible. I felt horrible about myself. I felt horrible about what I said because I didn't get out everything that I wanted to say. It wasn't clear. It wasn't precise. It didn't actually capture who I am. And I felt stupid. And I felt even though my husband knew I was doing the podcast, I didn't tell anybody else. And I felt like I didn't want anybody to ever hear it. I didn't want them to know about it. I didn't want anybody to have anything to do with this ever. I wanted it to go away. I wanted it to not get posted. I wanted to curl up in a little ball, cry for 24 hours, and I was just beating myself up so much, and it was just so hard because, like I said, I wanted to have a podcast for years, and I finally thought that this was my opportunity. This was my opportunity to have a voice and to share what it is about me. And it just went so bad. So bad. Yeah, it just sucked. I spent hours beating myself up, like you do. And then I stopped and I thought about it. And I thought, I'm like, okay, well, why am I so upset about this right now? Like, nobody even knew it was happening. So I just don't have to tell anybody. And why is it bothering me so much? Then I realized it was because I was confined into this tiny little box of, we want you to tell us everything about you and your business, and you got 5 minutes. I had so much more to share. It was important to me, and I let myself down. And yeah, I just had so much more to give. And the interview was over, and I just was left feeling bad. So I thought, okay, like how do I fix this now? Because I can't go on the podcast again. I can't remove the podcast. I can't re-record the podcast. Or can I? It may not be on that platform. But what is actually stopping me from just having my own podcast? Having a platform to share what I want to share and who I am and why I do this, but then also to give other people that platform. And not in a 5-minute little ball of time, like try and explain everything about yourself in 5 minutes. It's like that elevator pitch of sales. And yeah, I was in retail and sales a long time, but I don't know. I just felt like there's more. Yeah. And I wanted to give people a place where they could talk, where we could have a conversation, where I could ask some questions. Because there's all these amazing things out there and things to learn, and sometimes people don't have a platform to express their passions. And I love people lighting up with their passions and it's beautiful. And I know that I'll probably end up listening to some of these podcast episodes later on after years of doing this, hopefully years of doing this, and cringe about things that I thought and I said and all of that, and that's okay with me because I'm growing. I'm expanding every single day. I'm changing every aspect of me. So, I started this. And this is my chance to share me and to share the people in our community. And I'm so excited to be able to do that. So, starting with a little bit of me. As I said, I'm a Reiki master. I'm a crystal master, healer, and an animal Reiki practitioner, and a creative person, and I do events and things in the community, and I love it. I love what I do. I love feeling like I'm making a difference. It means a lot to me. A lot. yeah, it lights me up, being able to light other people up and get them back to feeling good about themselves and loving their lives and getting to release some of that old stagnant junk that's just trapped inside your body for no reason. Yeah, it's amazing to actually see people transform into these incredible beings like right before my eyes. It's the best. And what got me started? Let's just say, growing up, my mom and dad split up when I was very young. And my dad, for years, I would go to his place on weekends. And he was a Reiki practitioner. He lived above a holistic healing center. And so I got to meet some amazing people and hear about Reiki and all of that. But I was so young, honestly, I didn't really understand what it was, what he was doing. I just knew the word, to be honest. And I knew that a lot of the people that I got to meet, they just were great people. They were a lot of fun. They were super nice. And like we spent a lot of time in nature and around plants and crystals and rocks and everything. And we'd go on walks at night on the beach, and it was just really nice. And even years after he moved out of town and stopped doing that, we had a family reunion, and his sister, who's also a Reiki practitioner, my back was bugging me. It was really sore. And so she's like, oh, do you mind if I do Reiki on you? And I was like, yeah, for sure. Again, not really fully understanding what it was. So she like put her hand on my back, and I still remember like my whole spine just like popped and cracked going up, and it was just like a huge release in my back. I'm like, what on earth did you just do? Like, what did you do to me? Like, it feels so much better all in 2 seconds. Like this, my brain was just like exploded. Like, I understood that Reiki was an energetic thing. It wasn't like a deep tissue thing, and yeah, it still just never really made sense to me. So, fast forward years later, I had a work-related incident that, due to having trauma and not wanting to trigger anybody, I'll go into in another episode if I need to. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it right now. Just, there was a situation. It was extremely traumatic for me. I ended up getting diagnosed with PTSD. I went to counselors for years. I got sent away to a treatment facility where I would spend 5 days there. I'd be home for 2 days for months. And that was really hard. I felt horrible. I didn't feel like myself. I spent a lot of time just curled up in a ball in darkness, and I was in a really, really, really dark place. And then I seemed to get a little bit better. And they basically told me, because it was all a work thing, so I had to go through WCB. And they told me that they couldn't help me anymore. There was no help for me. It was permanent. I was always going to be this way, and I basically lost all hope for a little while. They decided to send me back to schooling to retrain me, which I appreciate, because that gave me so much confidence after doing those courses. And for the first time ever, I passed all these courses with flying colors, and like back in school when I was younger, I failed everything. I didn't show up. I didn't graduate. I always thought I was stupid. But then doing this, I realized I'm like, oh, I'm actually kind of smart. I challenged exams and passed them with like 100%. And it was just things I kind of learned along the way. And even the studying, like the bookkeeping and all of the office work and stuff, it was so easy for me and so quick, and I was doing so good. And so it built this confidence up in me that I never had when it came to education and schooling. So I'm very grateful for that. And so it kind of got a little bit better. Like, they completely stopped with the counseling at that point. And I always have been able to feel energy in my body. And I felt the trauma in my body, and I felt this heavy energy. And again, not knowing anything really about healing work, I had kind of been practicing it over the years without knowing what I was doing, really. And of course it was draining me, and I kept trying to gather this negative energy up in me from all corners of my body and then push it out through my arm, and it just kept feeling like it was getting stuck and it was trapped, and I just couldn't release it. Everything was trapped in me and there was nothing I could do. I tried to remove it through my feet. I tried to remove it in every way, and again, didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew that this needed to get out of me. And I just needed help. And it felt energetic instead of just mental. So I decided, why not? I'll go and try a Reiki treatment. I figured worst it does is absolute nothing. Maybe if it helps a little bit, I don't know. If it helps, I don't know, my body was sore, my mind was exhausted. I just felt, like I said, trapped in crap, and I felt like I had no hope, and I just needed something to take the edge off because nothing would help. And I've been sober for years, so trying to do all of this without any medications because I had addiction problems growing up. I needed something natural. And so I thought, whatever, I'll give it a try. I'll try it, whatever. That session changed my life in so many ways. I had aches and pains in my knees that I just learned to live with for my entire life that were just gone after one session. And that negative energy that I felt trapped inside of me was just dispersed. I felt it still a bit there, but just, I could shift it out now. I didn't have this blockage anymore. I actually felt hope and direction. And I felt so good for the first time in years and years of feeling crappy. I was told to go see this one guy to get some energy work done and stuff. He's a local shaman, and he's a great guy. And it just so happened that literally the next day he was going to be at this location doing services and stuff at like a discount. And I was really nervous because I still had some trauma issues around men and stuff like that. And so I called my mom to get her to come with me so that I wasn't alone. So I felt a little bit safer because it was going to be a crowded place and noisy and a lot of people. And I was going to have to like trust this person that I didn't know, and it made me very uncomfortable. And ironically enough, my mom had met him before. And like years ago. And so she told me about him and how he's this amazingly nice guy and all this kind of stuff. So it like alleviated this tension in me, and it allowed me to go and get a session and get a clearing and all that kind of stuff. And it just, again, it made a huge difference. And I just felt so good after. Like, so good. And I just felt like my world had opened up. And it ended up being this one session of Reiki led me to this snowball effect that now has become my life. And it's meant the world to me. That guy that she got me to go to, he had this channeling group that they would meet every week. So I started going to that, and it taught me about a couple of my clairs, and it taught me how to voice what's happening and to trust myself. And that helped strengthen who I am. And at that place, I got to meet some amazing people and go to different events and groups and stuff that they were putting on, and meet some amazing people that still are my friends years ago now. Like, they're still my friends now, and I'm so grateful for that. And it opened up, like, I literally ended up, because I was there, I ended up hearing about this other book, and that led me to another book, and it was like this steamroll of things just piling on top of each other. And it was so amazing to me. The people that I was meeting, the experiences I was having, it all felt so good. And it felt like I was coming home to myself. And I was so excited. And I still, obviously, because I still have issues sometimes, I still had trauma and all of that kind of pent up in me that I was trying to work through and learn to heal in different ways. And then the person that did that one Reiki treatment on me, she was having a class where she was teaching level 1 Reiki. And I saw it one day, and I was just humming and hawing over it, and I was like, oh, you know what? Like, again, I didn't know what Reiki is or was, and I assumed, like I think a lot of people do, is that when you're doing Reiki on somebody, you're using your life force energy. You're using your energy that's stored up inside of you to help heal people. And so I beat myself up because I was like, I'm not mentally or physically at a place where I can handle that right now. Like, I don't feel like I have enough energy for myself, let alone to help somebody else, no matter how much I think I really want to do this. So I passed up that one. And then I think like a month later or something, she was doing level 1 again, and it caught my eye. And then what really caught my eye when I can't remember if it was written on a poster or she did a video or something. It was when she said that when you're using Reiki, you're not using your own energy, you're tapping into life force energy and using that to channel through you to help heal other people. And that just solved all of my problems because I wanted to do it. I wanted to do Reiki. It helped me with PTSD so much that I was so drawn to it. And so I was like, I want to do that. I want to take my level 1. And now that I know I'm not using my own energy, that's like primo. I had nothing left to give at that point, and I knew that. So I took my level 1. And it was amazing. It shifted the energy inside of me. And like my clairs got stronger, even just a little bit. And I was able to, instead of just feeling the energy in me, I could pull the energy into me and shift it around. And it was amazing. And because I've always been kind of tapped into it, I think it just, sometimes it's not that way for people with their level 1, and that's totally okay. And then all of a sudden, months later, she was doing the level 2. And I was like, well, then I could do Reiki on people, not just on me. And it's like another kind of step up. And it was like, I was, again, so drawn to doing it. Like, so drawn. Like, I knew I needed to. And then I was like, I can help others. I can help them like I was helped. So I did my level 2. And again, everything was amplified and supercharged. And for like a few months after that, I was clearing stuff from past Janine and the trauma and past relationships, personal, and all of this. I was learning so much and working through so much and releasing so much. And I loved it. I loved doing it. I would do Reiki on myself. I would do Reiki on my dogs. I would do Reiki on my plants. I would do Reiki on my water. I was Reikiing everything all over the place. My husband jokingly calls me a Reikist, and I've told him he can't say that in public because it just sounds inappropriate. So I loved it. I knew that I wanted to work with animals as well. That was really important to me because actually, going back, after my Reiki level 1, I got home that day and I was excited to practice Reiki, and I was working in the yard doing some stuff, and my husband was like, oh, there's a bird in the front yard. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? And I like ran into the front yard, and there was this like a woodpecker, a flicker in the front yard, and it was just such a hot day. And he couldn't fly away. He was struggling. And so me and one of the neighbors caught him. And the first thing I ever got to do Reiki on, other than myself, was actually a wild bird. And it was fine after. And like I took it to his sanctuary and stuff. And they're like, oh no, it's all good. Like he's good now. So I was so happy about that. Like it was just amazing that was the first thing I got to do Reiki on. So after I got my level 2, I was really intrigued by animal Reiki, because I knew how much Reiki helped me with PTSD and trauma. And I really wanted to be able to work with animals because, like, all of these dogs and cats and all of these animals in, like, shelters and stuff like that, they have trauma. And they can't sit down and go to a counselor or a psychiatrist or anything like that. Like, sure they could, but I don't know, they would have to be an animal communicator. And there's not a lot of people doing that. So I decided to take my animal Reiki level 1 and 2. And I loved it. Again, everything just got supercharged. And I loved being able to connect on another level with my animals. And it was similar to Reiki level 2, but it was just, the energies were a bit different. And yeah, it was just amazing. And I learned so much in that course. Like, I learned so much. Like, their handouts, everything, it was just incredible. And things that I had a hard time with, like dealing with some of the darker sides of animals, of sometimes having to put them down and stuff like that. And they kind of went through and explained it a little bit better to kind of soften the blow a bit, so it just didn't hurt as much. And yeah, it was just amazing. So I did that. And I still love using animal Reiki. And what they reiterated too was like, because there's different symbols for each level of Reiki that you do. And so when I did animal Reiki, I got another symbol to kind of add into my arsenal. And they explained, like, we're animals too. So use your animal Reiki symbols on people, because we're also animals. So to think that we're not is kind of funny. Like, we're a part of the animal kingdom. So bring that in. It will help kind of supercharge everything you're doing. And it does. It's great. Like, it's great being able to call in, like, the animal kingdom and everything into the session sometimes is just incredible. Some of the experiences I've had with that. So then after a while, the opportunity came up. I'm trying to think if I did timeline wise. Yeah, the opportunity came up to do my Reiki Masters and become a teacher. And again, I was so drawn to it. Like, it's like the moth to a flame thing. It was everything I needed. And doing that one took a longer time to integrate the energies in. I dealt with so much past stuff after that, like months of self-help work where it was like going so deep and clearing so much. It was incredible. And it was, again, everything just got supercharged with, like, each level of Reiki. My clairs would get stronger, my confidence would get stronger, my abilities would get stronger. Like, everything just would get amplified so much. It was incredible. And it just still to this day honestly baffles me. Like, it's just, it helps so much. And like, it's so, trying to explain what Reiki is still just so hard to me, because I just love it. And it feels so good. And yeah, like, I still will do Reiki on my pets and my animals and, like, my plants and my vehicle even. And I don't know. I just really enjoy it. And I love being able to help people like I was helped. And I've had a lot of clients with trauma and PTSD and stuff come through. and more recently, a lot of grief. Because again, like I said, it's been a bit of a rough year this year, and I will definitely go into that more on another day. So and then I of course wanted to add crystals in, because I've always loved crystals in every aspect, and my thought of being able to like train to do all of this stuff with crystals and then add it into the Reiki and like add all these levels, it just like supercharges everything. It's incredible. And it was an amazing course. So it was like teaching us not just like, oh, hey, rose quartz means love because it's pink. It's like, no, it's genetically made up of these chemicals. So when it touches your skin, it causes this reaction, because it's even like, it has a little bit of like a radiation field around it, like everything does. And so this is why it works with your body. Like jade will increase your oxygen levels in your blood and stuff like that. So it makes you feel this way, and it helps with circulation and helps with your heart. And like, it just made so much more sense. And so I loved learning all of that. And I studied for a while doing that course, and then of course got my master's in it as well, and that was through Hibiscus Moon, and I loved all of it. And she was like one of the first people to actually have a crystal healing course, which was amazing. And it was really cool because she came at it from that science background. Like, she was a scientist before she started doing all of this. So it was like, okay, why does this work? And like bringing all of the science aspects into it, and like taught us about toroidal fields and like all of these different things. It was really cool. Like, it was amazing to learn. I love the science aspect of it. And it's just geeking out on that. Completely geeking out. So, getting to do all of that and getting to build up my practice and then opening my business. I started with just Reiki, and then I was learning, like I was studying for my crystals. The first year of my entire business was open. It was just Reiki. And I only had a few clients kind of thing, like here or there. It wasn't super busy because I was also working full time on the side. So just basically doing my business, working full time, and studying. It was a lot. It took a lot out of me, and it was a lot. And I loved it. I really did. And then, a year after the business, all of the courses were pretty much done for the most part. Like, I still do courses all the time. I'm still trying to learn everything that I possibly can get my hands on. Because that's who I am. That's what I'm passionate about. And if I can learn something that will help my clients even just a little bit, it's amazing. So it's been a couple years now. I think I'm coming up, I don't even know. It's been a few years of doing Wild Nova, and it has grown so much. From just doing a few Reiki sessions to now also having wellness events of guided meditations and women's circles and all of these things. Like, it's been incredible. And all of the things that I have planned for the future, I am so excited about, and I can't wait. Like, I can't wait. I wish I could snap my fingers and have it all done to share with everybody, but it's still going to be a little bit because it's a lot of work. And it's just incredible. So I'm just over the moon excited to be able to start this podcast. It means the world to me, and I just can't wait to see where it goes and see all the people that I get to meet and all of that. And I really, really, really hope that everybody gets just a little something from each episode. Even if it's just something as simple as, well, if this crazy ass lady can do it, then I can do it too, and you start your own thing. Go right ahead. Like, I encourage it. If you've always wanted to start a podcast, start a podcast. If you've always wanted to do something in your business or start studying something or anything like that, do it. Like, this life is literally meant to be lived in all aspects, and it's not meant for you to live it for everybody else. It's meant for you to live it to its fullest. And please find a way to do that. Like, that's all I can ask for, is that you find something that lights you up and it makes you happy. And even if you just do it once in a while, just please take that time to just express yourself. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. There's so much more to share coming up that I'm really looking forward to. I'm excited for my next episode because it is going to be an interview episode. My game plan for this right now is to do a solo episode every single month, and then do different experience episodes and interviews with people, and kind of put out an episode a week. I'm having it on podcast platforms as well as on YouTube for video. The podcast episodes might be a little edited here and there, but if you want the unedited version, go over to YouTube. It's just easier for me to alter voice things than it is for me to learn how to alter a video without it going all weird. So all of the episodes will be there. And yeah, I'm really excited. I will have all of the socials in the show notes. There will be Facebook and Instagram, and I am 1000% not going to be on Twitter or X or whatever the heck it is. It's too much. There's just so many things to be on. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I have events coming up. I'll have my website up. There will be offerings for distance sessions for Reiki and crystal healing right now. Different opportunities to kind of come to events. And yeah, there's going to be so much more growing on there. And I'm very, very excited about that. Again, over the next year, where I see everything going is just, I'm really excited, and I can't wait to get to share it with everybody. So, until next time, thank you so much for coming, and I'll talk to you next week. And that concludes the first ever episode of the Wild Nova podcast. I am so grateful that you've joined me on this journey today, and I can't wait for what's to come. If you found any resonance in today's discussion, don't forget to share, subscribe, and leave a review. Your engagement really means a lot to me. Connect with me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at the Wild Nova Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at info@wildnova.ca. And as always, visit my website for any additional resources at wildnova.ca. I'm your host, Janine O'Brien. Remember, the connection between your body, mind, and spirit is a journey worth embracing. So until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.